All right. Trudeau has surfaced, Alexander. He came out and he gave, I guess you could call it a press conference, a Zoom press conference nowadays. Anyway, he came out of his bunker, some home somewhere. No one really knows where exactly he is either, which is kind of odd. But he came out. Okay, he started off with I've got the bug, and so do my kids, and he says I'm feeling fine. So he kicked it off with that announcement, and then he went straight into the propaganda, and he pretty much demonized the truckers. He pretty much called them, I guess it would be the equivalent of Hillary Clinton's deplorables. He pretty
Yes,
much called them a basket
yes,
of deplorables.
yes.
He said they were the racists and bigots and white, you know what? And I still don't understand what does it have to what does any of this have to do with race or bigotry, anything like that. I
Yeah,
have no
absolutely.
idea where he's pulling that one from, but I guess that's the coaching that he's getting from his handlers. No doubt that he's being scripted to say all of this. He's also very upset with the fact that that a statue supposedly was vandalized. It wasn't. I mean, people actually cleaned up the statue afterwards. They just put stuff on it. They actually cleaned up the statue afterwards, and they made it probably cleaner than it was before.
Yeah,
But now it's not okay to go after statues. Now you can't do that. Before, yeah, statues were fair game when it was BLM. He actually brought up BLM as well.
I
Trudeau
know.
said, when I protest with BLM, that's fine. But when you protest against what I say, well, that's wrong. And he also said some bizarre stuff about how truckers are stealing food from the homeless. That's a new narrative that they're bringing up. And just basically what an S show of a press conference that was. It was really a disgusting display from a prime minister. Really, really disgusting. I thought I didn't like Trudeau before, but after watching that, I was just like, God, this is just beyond belief. What are your thoughts?
I thought it was one of the most appalling speeches I have ever seen from a leader in any country. I mean, we have Trudeau. As we say, he's in hiding. He doesn't even tell us exactly where he is. We don't exactly know where he is. He then sort of strikes this pose again, that he's there heroically at his post, presumably directing operations from the rear against this, all-encompassing horde of, bigoted people that, been talking about, these vandals, these people like that. And of course, the reality is the diametric opposite. These are law-abiding people. They're exercising the right of protest. Now, they have grievances. You may agree or may disagree with those grievances, but to abuse them in that kind of way is just appalling. And it's going to create further partisan division in in Canada. And talking to people like that, about them like that, all that's going to do is going to make them extremely angry, because they know perfectly well who they are and what they are and why they are there. And here they have a prime minister who won't talk to them, who hides away from them, who won't have discussions with them, who won't meet them, who hides in a bunker, which is, as I said, ludicrous and ludicrously unnecessary, and who insults them, and who makes claims, as I said, about a statue, which is completely untrue. He finds the one flag among tens of thousands, or nearly all of them. I mean, you see pictures of the crowd, and what they have are Canadian flags. Somebody somewhere had a flag of a certain country that was important in Europe in the 1930s and 1940s. I'm not going to name the country. We all know what I'm talking about. There was this one flag, almost certainly, I suspect, a provocateur. Almost certainly a provocateur. Exactly.
No doubt.
So, of course, Trudeau homes in on that and tries to drag in all of these people in this, with this particular flag. And of course, we're talking about this demographic that we're talking about are the grandchildren of the people who fought against that country during the Second World War, the country with that flag. They are the people who are the most patriotic part of Canadian society. They are the ones who fought in France and elsewhere against the Germans, to now mention the country, who did all those brave things, and he now calls them all those terrible things. I mean, the whole thing was just shocking. It tells you again what kind of person he is, what kind of political leadership he has. And bear in mind that we're talking about people who once upon a time, not so very long ago, were the bedrock electorate of the party that Trudeau now leads.
Yeah, when you take a step back and you kind of watch Trudeau's speech, his performance, and understanding that he was a drama teacher, it's really not far-fetched to say that this is theater. He is acting.
Yes.
I mean, this is a play that we're seeing unfold, and this is the script that he's been given.
Yes.
He's not running anything in Canada at all. He is completely scripted. I think it's clear that his government, this government that's controlling him and scripting him, they're working with the United States.
Yes.
The media companies between Canada and the U.S. are working together.
Yes.
I saw MSNBC Mika Brzezinski. I don't know her first name. I know it's Brzezinski, which should tell you everything you need to know as to why she's got that job. But she was outraged that these people, put some things on a statue. I mean, she was outraged, right?
I know, outraged.
Forget about BLM
exactly.
Outraged.
I mean, it's suddenly a statue, by the way, which, as I understand, it goes back to the British Empire. So I mean, if I'm wrong about that, people can correct me. But whatever. I mean, suddenly, as you said, statues become important.
Sacrosanct.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, it really is theater. And I'm not saying that I'm saying it in a literal sense.
Yeah.
When you look at everything from afar, this is a play to them. I mean, Trudeau is really giving a performance. He really is acting.
Absolutely. Yeah. It is a play. It is a play. It is a narrative, and it is a narrative, as I said, of the great leader, the brave, heroic leader, as I said, directing operations from his bunker against this totalitarian horde that has invaded his capital and is threatening his country. You can see the script, and it has no basis in reality. It is the diametrically opposite thing, which is true. If you want, as I say many times, if you want to see where the real threat to democracy in Canada, in America, everywhere is, all you need to do is follow Trudeau's speech and look at what has happened. Compare what he's saying with the actual people who are out there protesting. Protesting being, as we're always told, a democratic right. It's a democratic right when it happens in Russia. It's no longer a democratic right when it happens in Canada. When it happens in Canada, it is an attempt to attack democracy. I mean, it's so warped, it's so twisted that, as I said, it tells you that it does exactly what you said. This is theatre. It's not real politics anymore. Trudeau isn't a real politician, and any idea that he's a prime minister for Canadians, I think, has been imploded after this speech.
Yeah. Kazakhstan protests are democratic.
Absolutely.
Maidan was democratic. The Arab Spring was democratic. Syria was democratic. Libya was democratic. But what we're seeing right now, we've got thousands of videos and photos. What we're seeing right now, it is not democratic. It's not peaceful. That's what, and we've got all the videos and photos to see it. It's completely crazy. But on a more practical note, where do we go from here? Where does the economy go? I mean, without truckers, you have no supply chain. Where does Trudeau go from here?
Well,
where do the other globalist leaders go from here?
Well, you see, this is the trouble because, of course, assuming this protest intensifies, which after a speech like this, it could very easily do. I mean, this is going to make a lot of people extremely angry. It could make the protests swell. I mean, very easily, it could make the protests swell. Well, given the incredibly authoritarian nature of Trudeau's speech, I have to say that he's going to, it seems to me that the logic of this, because he can't back down to all these people after all the names he's called them. I mean, he can't negotiate with them after all the names he called them. I mean, you can't negotiate with people who are, well, all the things that he said those people are. So it seems to me the inevitable slide is to some kind of repression. Bring out the police, the riot police, bring out the military. Well, who knows? I mean, I'm not going to try and guess or speculate. I think it'd be unwise to. But it's setting the scene for a confrontation. And, well, Macron managed to overcome, to a certain extent, protests like that in France. But these are much bigger, on a much bigger scale. They're far better organised. They have targeted, as you correctly say, one of the major stress points of the economy. If Trudeau doesn't back down, and it's difficult to see how he can, if the truckers don't back down, and if this escalates, then of course we're going to have a massive recession. And it'll affect the US as well, because you must understand that the Canadian economy is extremely important to the US economy too. The two economies are in effect operate almost as one. So, you know, Pratt and Whitney in Canada makes its aircraft engines, which are then used by American jets, just to give one example amongst many.
Yeah. You know what this all tells me is...
And just to add quickly also, Canada, of course, a major food producer. Food prices are rising around the world. If you can't move the food out of Canada because the roads are clogged, food prices are going to grow. Carry on.
No, I mean, just wanted to say that what this tells me is that knowing clear as day that Trudeau is completely scripted, it shows that that the people that are behind the mandate narrative and this tyranny narrative that they're pushing us towards, they understand that if Trudeau gives in, then they lose everything, and they're not willing to lose. I mean, they're on a path. They're set on a path, and they've told Trudeau, you will not back down. You will go out there, you'll read the script, you'll read the statement, and we're going to tell you what to do next. Exactly. I mean, they're also, at least it seems to me, they're committed to the cause as well, and people absolutely shouldn't underestimate that.
No, of course not. Of course not. I mean, they may lack physical courage. I mean, you may have people like Trudeau, who is no different in this from the other globalist leaders around the world. They may hide in their bunkers, but nonetheless, they're not going to give up easily. They know perfectly well that if they lose in any battle like this, anywhere, then of course the whole thing starts to disintegrate very fast. If Canada falls because of protests, well, what happens in Australia, for example? Just saying, where many of the same stresses are at work. What happens in parts of the United States?
Yeah. No, they have a lot at stake, and we shouldn't forget that the globalists.
Absolutely,
you know, they're very committed to what they have to do, and you know, Trudeau is a mere, he's a foot soldier. After I saw the press conference, it just hits you. He's a foot soldier, nothing more, nothing less.
Exactly. Who just recites the talking points that are given to him, shocking and appalling as they are.
Exactly. All right, the Duran.locals.com, ODYSEE, BitChute, Rumble, and Super U, and go to the Duran shop. Use the code GOODDAY, 10% off. That's the mug right there. That's the code as well. Take care.